learned that the United States, speaking of wars and where we're going, the United States, this morning, we learned that the United States ran through its biggest war exercises yet in preparation for war with China. So all of this is coming together, guys. Like President Biden's launching his re-election campaign, and we are ramping up for war. These things work in lockstep, in tandem. Right. And this happened a few hours ago in the Philippines. On South Island, south of Taiwan, U.S. prepares for conflict with China. Hundreds of U.S. Marines, U.S. Army soldiers participated in military exercises on the Philippine island of Bataan, just over 100 miles across the Bashi Channel from Taiwan. The drills are part of the Balikatan exercise, which is being touted as the largest ever joint military exercise between the United States and the Philippines. And of course, they come after the U.S. inked a deal expanding its military presence in the Southeast Asian nation. Of course, additional military bases that the Biden administration has just managed to do. All of this, of course, is part of Washington's plan for a future conflict with China. So massive amounts of soldiers participating in these military exercises. Jets, aircraft, HIMARS. They even brought HIMARS to be able to hit Chinese targets hundreds of miles away. That was part of these drills. All of it as part of a gear up for this war. And saying, and they're all throwing around this number of 2027. Like, we're going to go to war by 2027. Like, they're all saying this now. Like, this is the target date for war with China.
Is this like the next pandemic? Like, they've got it planned to the year? That's
it's like they've got it written down.
Thinking there.
I mean, and because look at this, back in Washington, the House of Representatives launched a China War Games. This is what the House of Representatives is doing while President Biden is actively pushing for war against China, using their own board games. Look at this. This is how they were even using little toys and little cards and on the floor of the House of Representatives, planning for war with China. And by the way, they say 2027. Watch this. This is ABC News covering this. Watch.
At how members on the House China Committee are gaming out war scenarios.
In the sky, on the sea, China staging combat exercises, a show of force, a warning that a potential blockade of Taiwan could be coming. The Chinese army even releasing this simulation of how they'd attack the nearby island, a self-governed democracy that China claims as its own territory. But on Capitol Hill this week, lawmakers staged their own simulation.
Tonight is not about a desire for war.
Oh, sure.
It's certainly not about playing frivolous games.
Oh, sure.
It's about prevent war games.
China Committee Chairman Mike Gallagher and Ranking Member Raja Krishnamurthy set up the exercise with the Center for New American Security.
This game is going to be a Chinese invasion of Taiwan set in 2027.
What exactly do we know right now
she
about
says.
their mobilization effort?
Members from both sides of the aisle coming together, politics set aside. There's Virginia Republican Robert Whitman and Massachusetts.
They're coming together over war. If there's one thing they all can get together on, it's that they hate China. They want a war with China.
Democrat Jake Auchincloss, the members taking on the role of advisors to the president.
What have we communicated to expats and students who are in China right now?
This is part of what you get to decide.
That's Stacey Pettijohn, a senior fellow from CNAS, acting as the game master.
You know, like if I play Dungeons and Dragons with my kids, it's a lot different than this.
Well, I was just going to say,
master.
in Hunger Games, the game master dies.
This is like her job. Here's what
Hope
I do.
I didn't give anything away there.
Mommy, what do you do? Well, here's what I do. I actively plan wars with foreign countries, and then I bring it to Congress, and I sit down on the floor of the House of Representatives, and I set up board games, and I invite all the members of Congress, and I invite ABC News to come in with their film cameras and film the whole thing and put it out on the night. It's total propaganda. That's what I do to my kids. Oh, Mommy, that's really great. That's what they're doing. These are war games that they're doing, literally planning for war with China by 2027. Mapped out with, like, they're playing Risk or Stratego, by the way.
People's lives. And, you know, when they say 2027, my first thought goes to, my son will be 17. Like, he's getting close to draft age. These are the things that like scare me. And they're playing as if these are his peers. These are, you know, kids and their lives, and they're just making them game pieces.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So they say war is coming in 2027. This is what the War Games show. Where have I heard this before, though? Oh, right. NBC News also put together their own War Games a few months ago with China on a whole segment planning. And guess what? Planning for war in 2027. This is all about connecting the dots, guys. Like, what are we not being told? So NBC News, Meet the Press, does this whole War Games planning session on the floor of the House of Representatives. They're doing a whole War Games planning session 2027, mapping it out with members of Congress. This is all part of a plan. Watch this Meet the Press segment.
And we wanted to know more about these war games. What do they look like? How do they unfold? What would it take to win, especially in this moment we're in and what's happening in Ukraine? So to find out, we worked with the Gaming Lab at the Center for a New American Security, CNAS. This is a think tank that specializes in national security. CNAS convened 2 teams to fight it out here in our Washington studio. The blue team, a group of defense experts, members of Congress, and a retired Air Force general who played the role of American defense officials on the National Security Council advising the United States.
And then the
president.
Scary red team?
And the red team.
Oh,
China
there they are.
Experts. And the CEO of CNAS played the part of China's Central Military Commission advising President Xi
Yeah, they look
Jinping.
like trouble, all red.
CNAS drafted the terms of the hypothetical conflict, set 5 years from now, in 2027, with China poised to launch a direct attack on Taiwan to force unification after Taiwan had elected new leadership, increasingly defying Chinese pressure.
All right, so 2027, guys, get ready. All signs pointing to that. So this is all very eerily timed that this comes together right as President Biden is announcing he's running for re-election. Enemy number 1 is China. Who's out? Russia. Zelensky. They're out. New reports out today showing President Biden pressuring the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, to launch a spring offensive now or start to negotiate a surrender. This, according to Politico. Biden's team fears the aftermath of a failed Ukrainian counteroffensive. The Biden administration is quietly preparing for the possibility that if Ukraine's spring counteroffensive falls short of expectations, critics at home and allies abroad will argue that America has come up short. Time to get out. Time to leave. We are done. Zelensky is finished. We're turning the page and just focusing on China now.